following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
Maybe we can still heal you. Why? So you could just lock me up? No. Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships. Because they knew death was better than bondage.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding. The shadows betray you because they belong to me.
In the hell do you think you are?
Okay, it's not working out. I'm gonna need the suit back.
For how long?
Forever. Yeah, let's
No, please.
Let's have it.
You don't understand. Please, this is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
So Oz, this week it is episode 50, and you know I was trying to think of who should we have to come on the show. You know, we had to have somebody come on the show for episode 50. So in my mind, I was thinking, what better person to have on than the guy who gave us our shot? So before we introduce our guest, Oz, just what are your thoughts on episode 50, and what kind of things do you think we have planned going forward?
I'm surprised we made it through episode 5. Wow. First of all, but I'm not surprised that we are here now. Took a little bit to get here. I'm happy. I'm excited. Our special guest, I'm super excited to have him on. Let's get to it.
So let's get to our guest. We have the Kingpin of Defy Life and recently dubbed the Suge Knight of Defy Life, Mr. J.R. Glymph from the Defy Life Podcast. JR, how you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Every time I'm here, I gain a new nickname, so it's good. Thanks for having me, and congrats on episode number 50. Proud of you guys.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, appreciate that.
And it's jokingly, as you said, you're surprised you made it to episode 5, but that's actually some truth in that. Most podcasts don't make it to episode, don't make it to episode 5, and
very true.
Like 40% of podcasts don't even make it to 10 episodes. So, congrats to you guys, man. I knew you said I gave you your shot, but you took your shot and y'all are running with it, man. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that, and to be honest, it's kind of convenient that you're the guest for this week because I 100% and completely stole your topic from your show this past week with the rivalries. Once you said it and you guys started talking about it, it just sparked an idea for me. So this week we'll also be talking about some of our favorite and some of the best rivalries in all the comics. And I had a couple Twitter polls up, and these were, well, actually we'll get to all that later. Let's talk about episode 50 and just, kind of, celebrate a little bit. Because like Jay said, or I'm sorry, like the Kingpin said, a lot of podcasts don't make it this far. So it took a lot of Oreos, a lot of ice cream, but we made it. So
we're here, and it feels good, man. Yeah, like it's been a very pleasure-filled ride, And hey, you shout out to Regular Scott for holding it down for us too, man. You are definitely the proper captain for this ship.
Oh, I appreciate that. Kingpin, let me ask you,
Sure.
what type of lessons have you learned from episode 50 up to your 100th episode?
Oh wow. Well, considering episode 50 for us was right around the time where we were starting to make some transitions. So there were some new voices coming along. So that's right around the time Keon went away and Money came along, and then Yosh was there for a second, and then West Coast J came along. So episode 50 for us was was a lot of transition. But that's the one thing I learned, that podcasting, much like life, the only thing that's constant is change. So you just have to adapt and roll with it and make the best of it. And, we're still going through transition. So I'm proud, as you guys have gone through transitions as well, that doesn't stop. That's the biggest thing, is have fun with it, however it looks.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. Oz, just real quick, what are some things that you've kind of learned and just kind of thought about while podcasting over these last 50 episodes with myself?
To be honest, learned to be a little more looser, a little more light. It's been it has been a journey, I will say that, and trying to take myself. The balance between taking yourself seriously and not taking yourself seriously too. It's been quite educational, and I thought I knew a lot about comics, but this whole podcast experience has made me want to be more of a connoisseur of what I love. So it's been good.
I do know.
All right.
Jay, let me ask you. This is just kind of a random thing, just kind of going back through, our last 50 episodes and some of the things we've done. Where does Oz's commercial rank among some of where does that rank? On any list? Shots fired, by the way. On any list that you can think of.
Wow.
And if I was smart, I would have had it ready to play right now. But so Oz, you're lucky. I might have to put this in post edit. Shots fired.
On a scale of 1 to 10, would you rank my commercial easily at 9.5?
Hey, is it getting Iris West and MGK?
Yeah, right. If you're to give my commercial, Jay, Iris West, MGK, or would you just naturally just give me the Infinity Gauntlet? Obviously,
I would.
There's no Jar Jar Binks in this. There's no Jar Jar.
No Jar Jar Binks. It's just something below a Jar Jar. I would have to give it the mustache removal of Henry Cavill's mustache. That's what I would have.
Shots fired. No, that was a nice shot too.
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. So you're saying it was really that good? So
yeah, it's classic. Yeah, absolutely. There's and if we were just to rank moments from across the network, it would be Yosh's foul mouth, your commercial, and then Visa's manufactured Defy Life beef.
But hey, as long as my commercial did not get below Visa's Defy Life beef.
That's an awesome.
Hey, speaking of beef, hey Oz, Jay tried to start a little beef between me and Yosh on his show.
Hey,
as Suge Knight would do, so it's fine,
Right. At least I ain't get nobody shot.
Right. Yeah, I'm just saying, or threw anybody out a window or anything like that. It's fine. It's cool.
Right.
Hey, shout out to Yosh though. I did hear that he got selected to coach the All-Star team, and as a coach myself,
damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, shout out to you, man. That's incredible.
That's talent, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. If y'all don't mind, do you mind if I put you guys on the spot on your own show?
Not at all.
Hey, I mean, obviously, since my commercial was a turd, but why not? It's fine.
Now, I'm just curious because I know you guys are all set to ask the questions and have me as the guest, but as kind of as the Suge Knight of this network, I do want to know what Scott, you first. What is your What is your most memorable moment from your first 50 episodes and your most forgettable moment?
Wow. Okay. So I guess that's a tough one.
That's good.
Yeah, you did kind of catch me off guard with that. I guess probably my most memorable moment was being able to be a part of and really seeing my brainchild of the Battleground kind of work and expand a little bit. Like it's been cool to kind of watch that grow and kind of develop a life of its own, and people really seem to enjoy it and look forward to it. It's a good talking point. So that's probably been one of my more memorable, I would say, moments, was probably that first Battleground you and I did together. Like it just felt good, and it felt like, all right, we got something here, and that kind of stuck with me. My least memorable moment, oh man, you probably thinking I'm gonna select that alleged shutout that apparently happened on your show, but there are no tapes or evidence of it. But it's okay because it's a rumor, so it doesn't matter because there's no evidence, there's no tapes.
True.
It's just you and West Coast Jay saying that it happened, and Al. Shout out to Al, but it didn't happen. But that's a whole other story. My least memorable is probably that's
our first commercial.
No, you know what? It's probably like our first 5 episodes.
Wow, dude.
Just as a whole.
See?
Wow.
Like it just listening back, I'm still trying to find my footing, and like I wasn't comfortable. Yeah, I feel comfortable. The audience is probably like, yeah, you still ain't found your footing, but I feel comfortable now, so that's probably my least memorable.
Okay. Same question. Most memorable and most forgettable.
Oh man, most memorable moment. Here, my most memorable moment was when this became real, and I realized that people were actually listening to us. Regular Scott, when was it? When we had hit like over 300 or something. I don't know. We hit a certain number, and I was like, whoa. I was like, it was crazy to me, because I was like, wow. Oh, I need to not modify what I say, but just kind of like just give a little bit more respect to what I say, because I was like, because I want to make sure that people are listening. They're like, that they're getting what I'm really feeling about things and stuff like that, So when this became real, that's like one of the most memorable moments. And the least memorable moment,
this should be easy.
The commercial? No.
It's gotta be, right?
No, dude. I'm gonna tell you, man. If I see everything, even my alleged failures, as like learning opportunities, Yeah. I look forward to doing another commercial.
Oh, do you?
Probably totally different. But my least favorite, I gotta tell you, Regular Scott, Jay, here's my least favorite. When Regular Scott, a couple episodes, he got me really riled up. and made me lose. I mean, I'm a pretty together dude most of the time, but he made me lose my shit, and I wasn't very proud of myself, because we ended the episode. I was just kind of like, man, I was feeling just salty too. I was like, but that wasn't good. And then when we did it again, the next episode, I was like, I got to chill out with this. So it's very good. So I talked to Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil hooked me up. So it was good. Oprah gave me some good mantras to say. So I feel good now. I'm good.
Cool. And that's the beauty of it, man. When you're doing a show with somebody you truly care about, and because it's like family, you're gonna get heated and it's gonna say some things that you may regret. But you come back next week and everything's fine. So I definitely understand that.
Well, and these are all conversations and arguments that we've had for years.
Ever.
It's
right.
forever. Like kind of when I was very first talking to you about almost like pitching you the idea of doing the podcast, I kind of told you that this was something that we we did just about every weekend anyway. There'd be plenty of times where we would just be like, "No, you're wrong. I know what I'm talking." No, just going off and stuff. But
that's actually part of the fun too, when you can make it fun,
right.
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm done taking over your show, man. I'm back in guest mode now.
Yeah, Suge Knight just came over and deboed the whole spot, though. You know what I mean? But look, before he take over too much more, allow me to set the table. This is the 50th episode of Take a Knee for Marvel versus DC. There's going to be a little round of applause for that one. 50th episode. I am your host, Regular Scott. I am here with my co-host, the comic connoisseur himself, the mighty Ozzy Killmonger. Oz, what's going on?
What is up, good people?
And we have the Kingpin of Defy Life and the host of the Defy Life Podcast, Mr. J.R. Glymph. J.R., plug anything you want, and how are you doing?
Yo, I'm good, man. What's good? To steal a line from Oz, what's good? What's up, good people? It's a pleasure to be here, man. Tonight, this episode is all about you guys. So everybody tune into the Defy Life Podcast Network. Check us out at defylifepods.com, where you can listen to Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC anytime you want to. Subscribe, like, and listen to those guys every week. I'm so proud of you gentlemen for reaching episode 50.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And you can also follow us on Twitter at knee4marvelvsdc. That's the number 4. You can also email us at knee4marvelvsdc at godefylife.com. Like Jay said, you can also find us at Defy Life Pods. All your podcasts are there. Any show you're looking for, like the flagship, the Defy Life Podcast, that's there as well. All of that is there. You can also follow, like, and subscribe. Leave us a review, 5 stars on iTunes, Spreaker, Radio Public, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you get your podcasts. All the Defy Life podcasts, and this one, Take a Knee from Marvel vs. DC, will be there. Hopefully we have another 50 episodes in us. Oz, you think we got another 50 in us to get to 100?
Man, we got another 50,000 in us. Let's do this, man.
Easy.
Yeah.
50,000 is a lot.
Hey, man, this is a legacy podcast, man. The kids are going to be, their kids will have this. Come on, man.
Well, actually, no, Grayson was just in here. I was about to let him talk for a little bit, but then he started, he got a little foaming at the mouth. He got too excited.
You see, yeah, his daddy 50.
It's all right. We're going to find some infant-size mics and headsets so we can get started.
Might as well start him early, right? I mean, just get him started early.
Exactly.
Hey, Jay, real quick, to take a line from you from your show, do a little house cleaning. I just want to give a quick shout out to your boy. He's been killing the football field, huh?
He has, man. His first year playing tackle, he finally begged hard and long enough to convince me to give in and let him play tackle. He played flag for a few years, but being a former football player myself, I know the toll that can take on your body playing for that long. So I was in no rush to have him get on the field, but he was convinced he was ready. And he was ready until until it was actually time to start carrying the pads and the helmet. And he realized, this is not flag. So it was a bit of an adjustment period. But yeah, they started off 5-0. They lost their first game last week against another undefeated team. Which was good because I kept telling him, like, you're not always going to be this lucky. Like, you're not always going to be on a stacked team and start off 5-0. You're going to be on some pretty crappy teams throughout your career. So, but they're doing really well. So they have their final regular season game tomorrow. Then they go into the playoffs. If they win their playoff game, they get a rematch against that team. So I'm proud of them, and they're having fun. So it's good to see the kids doing it.
That's very cool, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Always got to shout out the youth, man. When the youth are doing good, man, that's all you can ask for. And as a new father, I have a newfound appreciation for just some of that, and I look forward to just seeing my son accomplish those things. So I know how great it must feel for you. So definitely shout out to you and your son.
No doubt, man. Appreciate it. And you know what's going to be the toughest thing for you, man? Because it was the toughest thing for me, and I know you kind of think the same way. I was a pretty good football player. I played through college, and I know you were a pretty good basketball player. Mm-hmm. And so I've always told myself that I'm not going to be that dad that lives through my kid. Like I'm not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to constantly remind myself to like mute myself and not project, like my expectations and my past onto him and just let him be, who he is. So it's going to be a constant reminder for you because you were so good at what you did that you don't want to expect your kid to be that good. So just an early reminder for you to keep tapping yourself on the shoulder and shut the hell up.
No, it's very true.
No, you're right. And the thing is, like, I've kind of thought, like, my wife has said, how are you looking forward to coaching him at some point? I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to coach him. Like, I don't know if that's something I want to do. I think I'd rather just go watch him play. And if he asks me for help, that's a different story. You know what I mean? Right. But I don't know if I want to, because as much as I say I wouldn't show him favoritism, I'd probably be extra hard on him if I coach him. You know what I mean?
And that's what I find that
I don't know if I'd want to coach him, and maybe things will change. I don't know how I'll feel in 7 years whenever he starts playing, but as of right now, I don't think I'd want to coach him. I'd rather just go watch him play.
Yeah, and I was kind of dragged into at least even participating. Like I was completely like watching practices from the car, but at those times where he was struggling to get into shape and carry his pads, his coaches actually told my wife that they demanded his father be on the field to get something out of him. So they called me out in the field. They were like, "Look, we see you've been working with him. His technique is great, but he's just not used to getting, he's first year playing tackle. He's not used to getting hit. He's crying." They were like, "Can you be on the field to like demand that he pushes himself?" So they kind of dragged me into it. And so, yeah, I do find myself being extra hard on him. So like you said, it's those moments that you just like, I don't even know if I want to do this. Like with him, with him being under my direct supervision, I don't know if I can handle it.
Right, and it's because I've seen coaches who coach their sons, and I've like head coaches, like not like what you're doing, like you're not like the head coach, so it's they want you to do that specific thing, what I mean? But I've seen head coaches who like have their son and they push him to the point where they just stop playing, and that is the one thing I do not want to do, is to stop him from playing a sport, because
absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So, hey, Jay, we mentioned sports, and Oz's brain just kind of like hit like Fritz or something.
That's absolutely like just straight up garbage. I'm just listening in because I have to. I deal with the same thing too. I have been an avid skateboarder since the age of 16, and I am way past 16, and very competitive with like, and I will say not too bad. And my son has no interest in it, and it was a little weird and painful for a while, but I also had to learn that he's got to figure out what he wants to do, right? And that's a lot of pressure on the kid too, when they know like, oh man, I have to be as good as my pop, and that's a lot for a child. Like this, like he's like, no, dude, you have to learn how to get to this level,
right?
So you don't ever, like for me, I don't ever want to put pressure on him. Like you do your thing, and my wife is always like, oh, take him out. I'm like, he'll come out when he wants to come out, So yeah, the point is just like let the kids just have the fun and do their thing,
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, this show just took a turn right there, huh? Who'd have thought we'd be talking about fatherhood on Take a Knee?
Well, it's fatherhood and sports, and I'm just saying, man, we can diversify our portfolio if we have to every once in a while.
You just participated in a sports conversation.
I said, we can diversify our portfolio. I'm just saying, man.
You showing up for the boss, huh?
Yeah, hey, I'm trying to get my own show, Jay. I thought you were
Well, we are talking about rivals, and some of the best rivals are alleged father and son. So, hey.
Oh, for real, man, that's just the truth,
What about uncles and nephews?
Oh man, There is no rivalry because nephews always lose.
Yeah, whatever, man, whatever. All right, let's get into some news. Real quick, J.R. I know you saw Gemini Man, and you had some thoughts on that. I was going to do like a double feature with Movie Man Miggs because I'm going to see the Joker this weekend, and we're going to talk about the Joker hopefully next week. We were going to do a double feature with Gemini Man, but after his review and your review, I don't think I'll be going to see Gemini Man.
Hey, so Jay, talk to us because I want to go see it this weekend. Please tell me what's going on.
Do I need to give a spoiler alert for you?
You don't,
okay.
Because I'm gonna stick to my Miggs forte and not give any spoilers. But I will say this: usually, if I'm on the fence about something, I'll genuinely wait for Miggs, and wait for his review, wait to hear what he tells me about it. But I was so sure that Gemini Man was going to be such a great movie. I was like, screw Miggs, I'm going to see it. And I even I even watched it by myself. No kids, no wife. Because I was so sure that I wanted to be a part of this because
you wanted to have this whole experience all to yourself because you knew it was going to be this top notch.
Right. And to me, I have this thing for nostalgia with icons from our era. So to see a young Will Smith, even though CGI, to see a young Will Smith on the screen with the current, with an older Will Smith, it was perfect for me to oh man, it's it's like Muhammad Ali fighting with Fresh Prince. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10 minutes into it, I was like, it's kind of slow. And about 20 minutes into it, I was like, yeah, maybe it'll pick up soon. I don't know. I already know where this is going. But I was so looking forward to the scene with young and old Will Smith in the same scene that I was so let down by the production, the quality of the CGI. It was terrible. Part of it looked like a cartoon. You know how you can tell the difference in quality when you're streaming something versus when it's film? And it looked like parts of it were streaming. It was just so wavy. It was weird. It was.
And part of it looked like it was streaming and the Wi-Fi was horrible.
Right. Yeah, it's like you watching a preseason game, and it's in China, and there's no real there's no real production, but it's just streaming through some guys. It's weird. It was terrible.
So Jay, here's my fear about that movie because I was really excited too, and I kind of had a feeling you were going to say that. My fear about this movie is. The preview that everybody sees, the trailer for it, are probably the best parts of the movie.
Absolutely, and even
see,
and even those parts are really good.
That's
regular Scott. I will not listen to you say "I told you so." Okay. Okay.
I won't say it, but I'll just say this: I am disappointed myself. I was genuinely. I was genuinely hoping we were going to have a really good black sci-fi movie.
I know. And
I like Will. I'm a Will Smith fan. I have no problem admitting that. So that was just adding on top of it.
But this dude got on the talk show circuit. Was on the Daily Show talking about.
That's what he's supposed to do, though.
I feel happier than I ever have in my life. I feel freer. I'm you feel freer because you just let out a turd, dude. Exactly. I feel freer after I let out a turd. Jeez. So, all right, man.
Hey, you in rare form on episode 50, huh? You got some good jokes today and everything.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, man. That bums me out because I'm just literally going. Well, let me wait for it to go to Netflix or whatever, So, all right.
Hey, Jay, let me ask you this: if it was released on Netflix instead of in theaters, would it have been a good movie?
Oh man, All right, let me ask a question before. What's the name? Polar. Remember V's kept telling us to watch Polar.
And
Me
Oz,
too.
and Oz.
And I take it back, but there are some good
Oz was
scenes in
definitely on
Polar.
that train too.
Yeah, right. And I'll say this:
Snowpiercer.
Even though, like, although I wasn't as like gung ho on Polar as Oz and V's were, there were still moments where it was interesting to me, and at least
yes. Yeah.
And when there were some moments where I was like, "Oh man, this action is really like this is lit right now. I can enjoy this part of the film."
Right.
I would watch Polar 10 times before I watched Gemini Man on Netflix.
See, and Will Smith, man, come on, bro. Fresh Prince.
That's crazy. It's that.
And I was joking when I told Mix this, but it may be so bad that it would knock Will Smith down a couple notches on my all-time black actors list that we had on the file. It would.
No, really?
Yes. Like, I couldn't imagine. Like, again,
Chewy, baby, Chewy. Put Chewy in there. Put Chewy in.
Hey, like again, like when you get up to the top 5 greatest of anything, you're gonna start nitpicking. I could not imagine like Denzel, Morgan Freeman, any of those guys, like Danny Glover, any of them having a film that's this bad, that's supposed to be, they got this much, like, had this many expectations. Like,
well, because he's a formula, dude. Will Smith, he is a formula now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like literally, I hate to say the word, but like him and his whole entire family are a brand. They all are on. If they're not talking about some self-help guru stuff, then it's on some. They are just they are a brand to be like, you can be this. It's just okay.
Yeah. So Netflix, even though if you got a Fire Stick, try to bootleg it.
Right.
Okay. See?
Wow. Well, there you go, everyone. So if you're on the fence about Gemini Man, hop back over on your side and don't go over. The grass is not greener.
Yeah. Don't. Apparently, don't go and go see the Joker instead.
All right.
All right. Well, I got a few news tidbits we could discuss to kind of get us back into a good mood. It's episode 50. Let's get excited. Round of applause.
No, I'm bummed out still. Thanks a lot, Jay.
All right. Gosh.
Hey.
I don't know who to blame, you or Will Smith. You know what I mean? Quicksilver and the Ancient One are rumored to be resurrected in the Doctor Strange sequel coming out. Oz, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Quicksilver and the Ancient One being resurrected? Do you think it's a permanent thing or just for this movie?
We could go like this, that it feels like a lot of this stuff is centered around Scarlet Witch and her, and they're probably going to start focusing a lot on her ability to manipulate reality. And there was a lot of fan base that said, man, why did Quicksilver have to die? And then obviously with the Sony issues for the X-Men, they got to keep their Quicksilver over there. But I'm excited, man. I'm kind of excited about all this like Marvel stuff that's coming out.
Yeah.
Let the turds land where they may.
Right. Jay, what were your thoughts on the first Doctor Strange, and does a Doctor Strange sequel excite you?
My thoughts on the first Doctor Strange, I went in like completely with an open mind because I was never really a big Doctor Strange fan. And so I wasn't excited about it. I didn't have any expectations about it. But it was better than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm open to a sequel. And I probably won't be overly excited again, but I like the character more than I did before I was like totally introduced to him. So, yeah, I can dig it.
Yeah, this is probably on the Marvel slate that has been released. This is probably my second most anticipated movie out of everything. Like I'm really looking forward to it. I think the multiverse aspect is.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think that's how we're going to get our Fantastic Four and and different characters like that we haven't seen or that are going to get rebooted. Our X-Men, our mutants. I think Scarlet Witch will kind of embrace her mutant side a little bit more, and I think we'll get our Doctor Doom, and we're definitely going to talk about Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom later with our rivalries topic. So with that being said, let's move on to the next bit of news. Sticking with the Marvel side, Captain Marvel is apparently going to be the leader of the new Avengers in Phase 5. Not really surprising news, but Jay, how do you feel about Captain Marvel being the new face of Marvel?
As you said, it's not surprising. You can kind of see the setup coming. And to be as I guess as un-PC as I can possibly be right here, you knew they were going to have a woman leading.
They had to, yeah.
So
they didn't have to. They did not have to.
They didn't have to, but they had to. You know,
they could have let Black Panther lead.
They had to, dude, because it's just the whole Me. Not to be a jerk, but there's the Me Too movement, and you want to recognize that women are leaders, you know, and so you know,
and if it were going to be Black Panther, which I agree, that would have made perfect sense. They would have given him that setup in Endgame. They gave Captain Marvel the perfect setup to be the leader of the Avengers moving forward. So you saw it coming. I wasn't blown away by the Captain Marvel movie. And I'm not convinced. Like, she doesn't convince me, like, as a superhero. So, you know, I don't think it's a terrible move, but they could have done better.
Yeah, us. Same thing to you. Captain Marvel, leader of the Avengers, Phase 5. Your thoughts? Are they even going to be called the Avengers, or are they going to be the Eternals?
No, they're trying to stick to this comic book. So maybe they'll start calling it the New Avengers. You know, only reason I'm slightly interested in this to see if they go balls out and have her hook up with Rhodey. So let's make it happen. Let's see what's up. But yeah, it's just like, you know.
Hey, Oz, real quick. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's episode 50, so why not, right? Why not turn the tables on the cutoff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, why not? Real quick, while on the, you know, I'm a big interracial guy, being a mixed man myself. While we're talking about Captain Marvel and Rhodey, I personally would like to see Sam Wilson and Jane Foster hook up.
Yeah, see, you know, they went a little too crazy with all the interracial stuff. Like they got Rhodey hooking up with Captain Marvel, and then
I'm all for it. I'm here for it.
But I want you got to peep the game though. Dude, here it goes like this: Rhodey hooks up with Captain Marvel,
right?
Falcon, Captain America, whatever, hooks up with Thor. Right. These are all normal dudes who are hooking up with superpower like white women, you know. So I'm just going. What are y'all trying to say? I'm just confused, man. I'm going. What is going on with all this?
Well, I mean, this isn't new. We had Luke Cage and Jessica Jones.
Dude, and Jessica Jones is stronger than Luke Cage.
True. Okay. True that.
Yeah. So I'm just.
And they canceled the show right after.
Dude, they were. Dude, look, Jay. They had a superpower romp in the bed, and after that, they were like, "We got to cancel the show, dude."
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just like, can y'all slow down a little bit, you know? So
what you're saying is you don't think we'll get two interracial couples on the screen at once?
Man, dude.
And look, let me throw this bone in there. Are we counting Star-Lord and Gamora as an interracial couple?
All I'm going to say is, if you have two interracial couples in a Marvel film opening night in some areas of the United States, you will see people's heads literally explode.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So if you want to see the bloodshed with the heads exploding, so You go ahead and do that.
People will be caught off guard. Like, what is going? I'm all for it. I am here for.
If Marvel, if you want people to start going to DC movies, do that.
Oh no, it wouldn't be like that.
Dude, people will cover their kids' eyes and be like, "Okay, come on, let's leave the theater." Come on, man. We gotta. Let's tame it down a little bit, okay? You know, and one more thing about Captain Marvel while we're on this tangent. Dude, I like Brie, not the cheese. I like Brie the actress, but she has like one emotion throughout the whole movie.
Nah, she's got a little sarcasm to her too.
Dude, but the sarcasm is still her being either stoic or sarcastic. I'm like, you got to be. You can joke a little bit. You're super powerful, can't you? You know, it just there's a whole lot of things that just kind of got to me about that. So
yeah, and just I don't know if it's her. I don't know if it's the character. I don't know if it's direction. I don't know if it's her as an actress. But she just doesn't. She doesn't strike me as a leader on that level. Like so,
she comes off as more just like like your muscle, really.
Right, yeah, like she's
a loner, dude. She's a loner.
Yeah. Right. You know, like we just finished talking about sports and coaches, but you know, some coaches you have, or some people in leadership positions, even bosses or their managers. Some people are just leaders of people, natural leaders of her. That character and her portrayal of that character just does not scream leader to me.
Yeah, she definitely comes off as the one that you're like, all right, so they got that guy. Hey, Captain Marvel, we need you for this.
Right, yeah, just call me when you need
me. Yeah, actually, I agree 100%. She's a loner, and she's just she's just the muscle. To me, she's the muscle, man. Like, you know, she's who you call when they bring their big guns. You save her. She's in the back drinking on
She's
some
a
coffee.
ringer.
Yeah, she's the ringer. She is the ringer.
Exactly.
She is the ringer. Exactly. All right. Next bit of news. Black Manta Yaha Abdul Manti II. Was that correct?
Sure.
Okay.
The guy who played Black Manta in Aquaman.
Yeah. Why don't you just say that?
Because I wanted to give that man say his name. Or try.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate the support. Episode 50. Round of applause.
You could have said, you know, J.J. Jimmy Walker, and I would have said, sure, that's his name.
Geez, man, your pronunciation of his name was almost as good as my commercial.
Shots fired. All right. Okay. Well, let me establish a baseline. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
Dude,
yes.
once again, the black dude who was the villain in Aquaman, everybody would have been like, "Oh, that dude, yeah."
Okay, all right. I just want to establish a baseline before I continue, because obviously I'm not a name pronouncer.
Hey, Batwing apparently sells.
Hey, shout out David Zimbabwe.
Right.
Hey, you know what, Jay? Piggybacking to your question about what was my most memorable moment, that particular question might be my most memorable moment.
Well, Jay, back to your question, that might have been my worst moment. How's that? So,
hey, absolutely. There were a lot of, if we go throughout the network, most people's worst moments probably would have something to do with a question they had to answer on Battleground.
Man, but the Battlegrounds are so fun, man. Those things are fun.
Yeah, I wish you would win one, Oz, so we could get some gear.
For the first one, I got awful close, man.
Oh, you did your thing in the first one. And then the second one, you went out in the first round.
That's okay, because I was thrown by that wing, like, took me off my game, dude.
That was in the first one.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well,
because you tried to tell me I was wrong.
The next one we do. There's a new champ. The champ is here. Don't worry.
You heard that, Jay?
I did.
I'm Jay. I'm telling you, the next one. Okay? Let's do it.
Hey, Jay, sound good, right?
You sound good. You sound like Al, man. Al been telling me. I got Al representing the Defy Life show. He ain't got out the first round yet.
Hey, look, Al gonna pick Game of Thrones and be like, "Oh, it's the guy who did all
Right,
this, but I can't remember his name."
Yeah, so he still don't know the people's names. He know everything about them except their names. Like I gotta. So at least Game of Thrones is off the air now, and
Yeah, thank God.
yeah. So
Let's stick to some other stuff, man.
All right,
Dude.
back to what I was saying. The guy from the black guy from Aquaman, the bad guy.
right.
Yes, yeah, that dude we all know.
He is rumored for a role in The Matrix 4, and the popular rumor is that he's going to be playing a young Morpheus or a de-aged Morpheus.
So, do you think that this Matrix 4 is a prequel?
It's not, because Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, and all them are coming back for Matrix 4.
So why would he play
Fishburne
a
coming back?
I believe so. I believe Lawrence Fishburne is coming back as well.
Why would he play a de-aged Morpheus though?
So
Do they have flashbacks throughout the movie? Maybe.
see, that's what I have two theories on it. I'm thinking there's either going to be flashbacks, or this is going to kind of be a passing of the torch of a sort, where they kind of something happens in the Matrix, and these characters get changed to a younger form to kind of carry on the franchise.
That could be, yeah. That could be like there's some kind of time altering going on.
That too.
And it sets up a prequel. I don't know, maybe.
Oz, what do you think?
Well, if he plays a de-aged Morpheus, it might be a better spin on Gemini Man. So
You haven't even seen Gemini Man, and you're throwing shade at it. How you throwing shade at a movie you haven't seen?
Man,
So-
Wild Wild West could be a better spin on Gemini.
Oh man, it can't be that bad. I almost want to see it to see if it's that bad.
Oh yeah, you got to. Like, I remember man. You got me talking about this again. Go ahead. Don't get me back on this.
Hey, when I have Migs on, I'm definitely gonna ask him about Gemini Man. I'm gonna get him going too.
Well, so hey, maybe how about this? Back to the Matrix. Maybe our guy might play a different version of Mr. Smith. You know, because I wonder if our Mr. Smith guy. I know he was destroyed, but we got to have some kind of like villain in this.
Well, isn't Neo like a god now? Like didn't he like come back to life and
Oh
Yeah.
do all that stuff? Like what's the story going to be with him if he's like got all this god like?
Well, he can exist in both worlds now easily.
Right.
Okay, true. I guess it's been a while. Matrix 3 isn't a movie that I had multiple viewings of, so my memory of it's a little weak.
I got to tell you, I saw the Matrix. I saw the Matrix 2 in Rome, Italy, and it was an all Italian. And I was with my friend, but I was kind of getting the gist of it. So I was like, okay, all right. So it was very surreal. So,
All right. Zack Snyder has said that General Lennox, if you don't know who that is, he's the black guy in Man of Steel, the general, the only black guy in the movie besides Lawrence Fishburne.
right.
I mean, is it bad that we can say that about these movies? Like he's the only other black guy in the movie besides Lawrence Fishburne.
But regular Scott, you have said, "Oh, Man of Steel is so amazing." Like,
I genuinely enjoy Man of Steel.
I know you do because that's kind of racist. But anyway,
that has absolutely nothing to do. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Shout out to the Antichrist Harry Potter.
oh,
All right.
but Harry Potter got some black people in that shit in there. I'm just saying, man.
But Zack Snyder has said that the general was actually Martian Manhunter, and in his vision for where he was going with the Justice League, he was going to reveal himself as the Martian Manhunter.
That would have been awesome at the end, you know.
That would have been a really cool. Like, I know people didn't like Man of Steel and didn't like Batman vs Superman. I wish they would have just let Zack Snyder see his vision through. Like I don't know if these concepts are real that he's releasing now, if they're just things that he knows people will react to. But if they were real, like, he had some really cool ideas that were left on the drawing board because they maybe not overreacted, but they just had such a drastic reaction to Batman vs. Superman.
No, it's the movie execs who ruin it all. Like these people probably don't even read comic books, and they're like, no, we have to make this and market it to these people. And you never know, Zack Snyder might just be like being like, man, fuck y'all, dude, and just like saying basically bullshit just to be like
knowing what people want to hear.
Yeah, knowing what people want to hear, just to more and say that the execs don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think the Martian Manhunter reveal would have been really cool.
That would have been awesome.
Jay, what were your thoughts on Man of Steel?
I like Man of Steel. I'm not the biggest DC fan when it comes to movies. I'm not the biggest fan of DC Universe. But Man of Steel was one of their better films. But I do think a Martian Manhunter reveal would have been excellent. But I think that kind of speaks to what we talked about before. Is DC, when it comes to their movies, they don't really have a consistent plan. They don't have a consistent vision. Either they want to rush out characters and catch up with Marvel, and they don't want to take time to let characters develop. They're just so busy trying to catch up. That would have been great for them to have another storyline to develop and build instead of rushing out all these characters to try to catch up with Marvel.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Absolutely agreed.
I agree with all that. All right, that's all the news I got. Do you guys want to do Jay's kind of disdain, and Migs as well? Their kind of disdain for Gemini Man kind of inspired my One's Gotta Go this week. So,
okay.
Would you all like to do the One's Gotta Go before or after the break?
Go before.
Let's do One's Gotta Go before the break, because that'd be a good way for me to go get a beer afterwards.
Wow, I'm surprised, Oz. I'm surprised you want to do one. You've never wanted to do One's Gotta Go before until Suge Knight said we're doing it before.
Regular Scott, it has nothing to do with Suge Kingpin Knight saying anything. But yes, sir. Let's do that. Good idea. That's a brilliant idea, sir. It'll be good. I'm curious to see what your One's Gotta Go is.
All right. So, like I said about Will Smith, he's my guy. So my One's Gotta Go are going to be some of his better movies, and we're going to pick the one movie or TV show, which there's only one, that he can no longer. It never existed. It's never been here. Okay.
6 Degrees of Separation.
I'm definitely not picking that. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I Am Legend, Independence Day, and Ali. One's Gotta Go. Jay, you first.
Independence Day, easy for me.
Dang, right off the bat.
Oz.
Fresh Prince. I'm kidding. Independence Day. Peace.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm picking Independence Day as well. So now let's do these three. I Am Legend, Fresh Prince, Ali. One's Gotta Go.
The easy. I Am Legend.
Oh, I Am Legend, yeah. Even though
Peace out. Bye-bye.
All right.
Ali's Gotta Go.
No, are you insane?
Listen. I Am Legend is to me. I Am Legend is the movie that solidified Will Smith as an actor. There are not that many actors who can carry an entire movie.
Yeah, that's tough.
Themselves.
Yeah.
Well, so
he had a girl and the lady for the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Regular Scott, you pose a very brilliant and striking argument, but may I just interject one little thing to you?
Absolutely.
He carried Ali. What are you talking about? It was a biopic.
Can we give a shout out to Jamie Foxx?
Dude, we're not talking about Ray. We're talking about Ali.
Jamie Foxx was in Ali.
But hold up, check it. I'm talking about Will Smith doing a biopic about a legend. That's a lot of weight. not I Am Legend. He did a biopic about a legend.
But there's other people who were in that movie who also got to share some of that weight throughout the movie. Like it wasn't just him on the screen.
And I'll tell you this, I Am Legend, the storyline was just like, for them ripping off, by the way, Gemini Man and The Last Man on Earth, because there's a ripoff of both of those.
Right.
I was just like, oh, again, it's like this dude, the ending of any Will Smith movie lately is going to just be bad, you know? And I wasn't, and that CGI was not the best for that either. So I'm just saying, Ali to me showed his like ability to be like, to be an actor, because he's really good at mimicking different characters and stuff, and I think that kind of shined through the Fresh Prince too. So,
well, and I'm definitely not saying that Ali's bad or that he was bad in it, because it's a great movie. To me, there's something special about Bruce Willis in Castaway.
Tom Hanks. I was about to say the same thing.
Not Bruce Willis. Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Jay, this dude just said there's something special about Bruce Willis in Castaway. Hey,
Bruce Willis
shots fired at myself.
Let me just say, there's something special about Tom Hanks in Die Hard.
Right. Yeah, that's something. Bruce Willis played the volleyball.
He was Wilson. He was Wilson.
I earned all that. I definitely earned that. True that. I mean, that's pretty much the equivalent of saying like Christian Slater was in The Bodyguard.
Right. Christian Slater was in Speed.
Right.
So
true that. I earned that. I earned that. But Tom Hanks.
Right. No, that's true. That's very true. Hey, do you know, not to get off the subject, but you know an underrated Tom Hanks movie, The Road to Perdition, is a really good movie, dude.
It is. Yes.
You know, so.
Right.
It is.
So,
which is a graphic novel, by the way, too.
Yeah. Yep. But I definitely feel both of your points, though. Like, it is hard to carry an entire movie by yourself. And I guess I'm partial because, like, it's Muhammad Ali, man. Like, I'm a bit partial to anything related to the greatest of all time.
Yes.
So, you know, and to pull that role off amidst all the expectations around it, because nobody had ever attempted to portray Muhammad Ali in a film before.
It's true.
Because they knew how tough it would be. And shit, just to get Muhammad Ali to sign off on it, you know, that's tough within itself. Because he never signed off on anyone making a film about him. So to have all that pressure on you, versus, as much as I love I Am Legend, I've seen it countless times, and it is tough to pull a movie off by yourself with just a dog as your counterpart.
Yeah.
That's tough to do as well, but there are no expectations around it as opposed to carrying a legend.
And also, and so name another, like, unless there was another one, the last other movie biopic about a black boxer who was a legend was James Earl Jones doing Jack Johnson.
Right.
What about Denzel and the Hurricane?
Oh, true that. Very true that. And but so think about this.
Michael Jordan playing Mike Tyson.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So, but you got Denzel, James Earl Jones. These guys themselves are like the pinnacles, and they're playing these guys. So, like, Will Smith had to rise to the occasion for that, man. You know?
No, true that. I honestly, you guys are kind of swaying because I was very dead set on I Am Legend, but you bring up a good point because I'm thinking about just some of the cadences and the way he talked and the way he moved and just some of the boxing scenes. He did embody Ali to the fullest.
And yes, sir.
No, good. I was just saying, and if we're talking about the movie itself, like just the movies as a whole, I think the fact that the other characters did do such a great job kind of lends to why that movie should stick around. Like Jamie Foxx did a great job. James Toney did excellent as Joe Frazier. You know, so they were a part of that movie as a whole, and so those like memorable performances kind of lends to the fact that I would want that to stick around over. Man, it would be close, but I would have to take Ali.
And I just want to add just one more last little point about it. I Am Legend, it's good. It's good because it shows it's an action movie. It's a sci-fi movie, action movie. And it shows that like him being an action star and being an actor. But those chops come from Ali, where he had to display like boxing prowess, his acting ability, like, you know, all the things from Ali lead to him being an action star, you know?
Yeah.
True that. All right.
And you know, you can, if you want to go back to it, Independence Day, when he punched the alien, kind of led to him being an Ali too, but that's just
did it though? Like, now we're stretching it a bit much. Now we're stretching it a bit much. Listen, I can connect Independence Day to Men in Black, and then I can go to Men in Black to iRobot, but I don't know if I'm stretching Independence Day all the way to Ali.
Like the movie execs saw him punch the alien, and they were like, "Oh, he'd be the perfect Muhammad Ali."
Right.
Got the cast of Ali.
That's a beautiful right hand right there, man. It looks like Ali.
Right. Exactly.
All right. We're going to play a quick commercial. I apologize to Yosh because I don't know which commercial I'm supposed to be playing right now. But I'm going to figure that out here in a minute. But yeah, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Anything, Everything, and Nothing podcast with Lynn and Kim. Join us as we discuss the latest in everything from entertainment and current events to the craziness that is our real life.
Let's laugh, let's live, let's talk about it. New episode every Tuesday on the Defy Life Podcast Network. And remember, if you're not defying life, then what are you doing? Lynn and Kim.
And we are back. Make sure you are checking out Anything, Everything, and Nothing from Lynn and Kim. They put out a great show, and they are the reigning Battleground co-champions.
So far.
Well, no, I mean, they are the reigning champions. Like, there's no doubt about that. Right now, yeah, no question. They are
Best protect the throne.
They are the first co-champions, the first female champions. A lot of history they made with that win.
Mm-hmm.
And Oz has made a bold proclamation that he is going to be the champion after being outed in the first round last time.
It ain't bragging if it's true.
That's what the man said.
Okay. So
hey, look, it sounds good because I'd love to get. Do I get gear too if he wins?
No, well, I mean, if we co-win together, you can get some co-gear. You know, but if I win, I'm trying to get all my loot for myself, man.
Yeah, I guess it will be up to Oz because, you know, Lynn and Kim got to pick an item each. So
what?
If Oz wants to share his winnings with you, then sure.
So Jay is already telling you what the answer is.
Hey, look, Jay is saying Oz ain't winning this thing. It don't matter what I say.
Okay.
Oz ain't winning this thing.
Okie dokie.
Shout out David Zimbabwe. That's all I gotta say. And all the names of the dire wolves. Shout them all out.
Oh my God! And tell me the blood type and the names of all the dire wolves. Okay, got it. Cool. On it.
I don't need the blood type, just the height.
Yeah, just what was their first meal of the morning that they had too? Yeah, gotcha.
Listen. The battleground is a place where, you know, the first battleground, I just remember hearing a lot of complaints about it was too easy, and I can't believe this is a 5, this is a 2, you know. So I just wanted to make sure that never happened again.
Right. So for one point, give me the molecular breakdown of the atomic atom of isotope number 44. So,
hey Jay, it's always the people not having to put together the trivia that are always complaining about the trivia.
Always.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know you go through it weekly, you know.
Right. Yeah. It's everybody's got to complain about the categories until it's their turn, and then I just get a list. It's just, I got a list for. You could put together 5 categories, huh? Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I never thought about that until you said it, but I do notice there is a good amount of lists being used lately.
Right.
Let me say this right now. I'm just happy to participate, man. So.
Oz, there's sports lists, so.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, don't be. Don't go thinking that I don't watch sports, man. I know my fair share.
I'm not saying you don't watch sports, but I know which sports.
I do not watch.
Yeah, I know which ones you do not watch for sure, though. I know there are certain things you probably will watch for sure, but I know you're not watching an random NFL game on a week, on a Sunday.
I've been known to watch cricket.
Right, absolutely.
A little curling,
I'll watch some curling.
Why would you watch curling?
I'll watch curling during the Olympics.
Yeah, I will too.
Yeah, I'll watch that during the Olympics, absolutely.
If I catch it and it's on, I'll check it out for.
I'll check out fencing if fencing's on. Or,
I might watch that too. Listen, when it comes to the Olympics, I'll watch just about anything for a minute.
Right. But by the way, you know what's happening in this Olympics coming up? Skateboarding is introduced.
Oh, that's right up your alley.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Oz, you could be the first 60-year-old to compete in the Olympics.
That was pretty demoralizing. That was pretty painful, man.
Ouch.
That was just not even passive aggressive. It was just very aggressive.
Listen, you can take that one of two ways. You can take that as me calling you old, or take that as me saying you're good enough to be in the Olympics. So you can take it one of two ways.
Okay, well, man.
But it does come in a combo package, so you got to take it both ways. But you can look at it one of two ways. Glass half full.
No, it's okay. It's okay, man. You just keep drinking your beer and feeling good, man. I know you had a rough day.
Playing my beer while I watch Bruce Willis on Castaway.
Oh my God, dude! For real, man.
So let's get to our main topic, which are rivalries in comics.
Which I'm excited about, by the way.
Yeah, we'll branch out.
I'm very excited.
And shout out to you, Kingpin, because this is 100% jocked from your show. So.
Right, and shout out to our listeners. That was actually derived from a listener question. So can't remember who it was, but damn good question because it traveled across 2 shows. So.
True that. So I put out 2 Twitter polls just to kind of get us started, and these were by far the largest Twitter polls we've ever put out. This has had the most votes and the most comments that we've ever had, with close to 900 votes between the 2.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that's a big turnout for us. One of them had a few more than the other. One of them had 300, the other had 600, but that's another story.
Shout out to everybody who voted.
Yeah, and absolutely. Thank you guys for voting, and hopefully all 900 of you are listening as well. But so we'll do the first one. What is the best Marvel rivalry?
Yeah. And if you voted twice, listen twice. There you go.
Thank you, man. See, listen, you can still. I'm still learning as I go, and that's why I have the Kingpin on for the 50th episode. I'm just trying to pick your brain, dude. That's why you're here. I'm picking your brain. What is the best Marvel rivalry? My choices that I put up were Magneto versus the X-Men, Thor versus Loki, Wolverine versus Sabretooth, and then I had a section for other and told them to comment who. Before I get to the results, let me read some of the comments. The Nerd Cantina, shout out to the Nerd Cantina, great guest we had on. Said Wolverine.
Love those guys, actually.
Yeah, great guys. They said Wolverine versus Cyclops. I asked them what is their favorite story, fight, or scene showcasing the rivalry, and they said the 90s animated series did a real good job. And then some other guy commented on it as well.
I said a bombing.
JVD of the Villains, Demand.
Hey, what did the other guy make a comment? What did he say?
I don't know. I deleted it. And then Ozzy commented and said that brutal fight scene in Astonishing X-Men. I just remember it being pretty nasty.
Man, listen to me. There's a fight scene.
What fight scene you're talking about?
So it's like maybe it's pretty recent. There's a fight scene between Wolverine and Cyclops, and they go. It's just single panels of those two going at it, and it is some pretty like Cyclops is like blasting like chunks of him away. Wolverine is like stabbed. It was pretty. I was like, wow, that was rough. I was like, man, you guys are teammates. Wow.
True.
So.
Peter Parker and Norman Osborn. It's the only rivalry that has stayed solid since it started. All those mentioned and more have had the villain switch to hero or ally on quite a few occasions, which is a very good point.
Good point.
And then this is going to be a common theme for the Marvel versus the Marvel rivalries: the Richards or Reed Richards versus Doom. There's a lot of calls for Reed Richards versus Doom. Seb Reeves put a beautiful gif of Reed Richards punching Dr. Doom in the face. It's just that seems to be a very popular one, and I'm very curious how that one would have done if I had that on there. Another one that was really popular was Spider-Man versus Venom. Professor X specifically versus Magneto.
Yeah. Well, the Professor X and Magneto for sure, but Reed Richards, if you want to say you can judge your enemies by by who you are. I mean, he's got a lot of like crazy enemies, but like Doom. Well, when Doom took over the Infinity Gauntlet and reshaped the world, reshaped the universe, his one fear was Reed Richards. They were best friends in college. And then, they did their ways, and now they're just mortal enemies, man. Yeah, they're deep. It's deep.
Yeah, and with those two, it's the intellectual battle. Like they're
absolutely
combined. They're probably the two smartest men on earth.
Yep.
So that's the Marvel side. JD, shout out to JD, and definitely go check out Pro Wrestling Showdown with me and JD. Cheap plug. Captain America.
Cheap.
Hey, that's the perk of being a co-host on both shows.
That's the perk of being cheap.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Captain America, Red Skull is another one that was mentioned a good amount for the Marvel side.
That is classic. Yeah. That's a classic one.
That is definitely a classic. Jay, before I give the results for that particular poll, are there any other ones that you can think of on the Marvel side that we may not have mentioned?
Thanos and Deadpool is a good one. That I've just because Thanos is the only person that can kill Deadpool, but he won't. So it's like the ultimate fuck you.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always been drawn to that one. But yeah, the others, are more well known, and Deadpool's kind of like he's so polarizing. People would love Deadpool, they just don't like him at all. So that kind of falls. I think that kind of contributes to why a lot of people don't follow that rivalry. But that would be one that would stand out to me that wasn't mentioned.
Okay. Riley at a film fan said Scorsese versus Mickey Mouse.
I love that one. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think Rambling Rob also said Bullseye versus Deadpool.
Well, see the true rivalry with that has been mentioned is Kingpin Jay versus Daredevil and Daredevil versus Bullseye.
Well, here's my counter to that, Oz. You are the comic connoisseur, so I come to you for just clarity a little bit. So here's my counter to that. Is the Kingpin's rivalry with Daredevil greater than his rivalry with Spider-Man?
I I will say this. Wilson Fisk, his whole thing is he wants to be the little Kingpin of New York. And two of the most beloved New York, like not those overpowered people, but two of the most beloved, foot to ground superheroes are Daredevil and Spider-Man. I will say that the rivalry, there's been several occasions when, it gets interesting this way.
Dude.
I'm gonna get it out real quick. Go chop down the tree and build a log cabin.
Here we
quick.
go.
I'll make this quick.
Here's a classic Oz rant.
All right. It's our 50th, so I have to do it. So there's two instances where you see what's working with the Kingpin's mind. The Kingpin has fucked with Spider-Man before, but there's one time when Spider-Man was like, "Oh, you went after Aunt May," and he went kind of nuts on the Kingpin, and the Kingpin was like, "Oh, you're an enhanced human being who can throw cars across buildings," and he learned that lesson. With the Daredevil, him and the Daredevil went bloody toe to toe, and he was like, "Man, you're an awesome fighter, but both of us will kill each other at the end." These two comics, Marvel did a series called The End. The end for the Daredevil had to deal with his final fight with the Kingpin. So that's their main rivalry, I think.
Didn't Kingpin and Ghost Rider have a thing for a minute too?
I'm sure that dude has had everything, literally, he's like, "Oh, you're a metahuman. You're like a demon. I got a thing against you too." Yeah, but the Kingpin has been through some stuff. When Frank Miller did his run with the Kingpin, the rival gangs of New York went after that cat, literally blew up a building underneath him to get to him and his wife. And he was just like, "Oh, I'm coming after all you guys." Yeah, Wilson Fisk, dude.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as what was his name? Was it Bing Reeves who played him for in the movie?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, he does have the body type for it, at least.
Go for the knees
and the voice.
And the voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely the voice. And you know what? I don't think that gets brought up enough as just kind of being a little ahead of its time, as far as I don't remember hearing a lot of backlash with him being Wilson Fisk, and even though he was black.
Dude, once again, to your point, Regular Scott, turning a white character black.
Yeah, that is something that we've kind of discussed before.
Yeah,
but I think that probably has something to do with the fact that they don't mind black actors playing white characters when it's a villain.
Holla at your boy. Thank you, sir.
That's a great point.
It's true. It's very true.
Well, no, I mean, it makes sense because I just don't I don't even hear anybody talking about it now. You know what I mean? Even myself, until you just said something, I just thought about that's a washed character that nobody talks about, and you bring up a good point. He's a villain, so everybody's like, oh, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah. We would expect that.
Just don't touch our heroes.
Yeah. Please don't turn him into black man. Just just keep him Batman.
Well, Batman's going to be black soon. So
trust me, dude. They could turn Mr. Freeze, Joker, everybody black, but they're like, don't touch Batman. Okay.
I guarantee at some point in the future, the Joker will take his makeup off and be a black man underneath.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I still dream of the day when Harry Potter's black, so I can have them reveal my lifelong dream of them calling him Harold Portier. That would be great.
Yeah, Harold Portier. To Sir with Love.
Right.
Shout out Sydney, man. Shout out Sydney.
Yeah. Shout out to Sydney.
All right, so the best Marvel rivalry with 43% goes to Magneto versus the X-Men. Second place goes to Wolverine versus Sabretooth. Third place, Thor versus Loki with 21%, and then the other with 12%. But I do appreciate everyone at least commenting who did vote other. So, again, appreciate everyone voting on this poll and commenting. We got 300 votes on this Marvel one specifically. The DC one is the heavy hitter, though, with 600 votes. Both of you guys, I'll start with you, Jay. What are your thoughts on that poll? And just real quick, what are your thoughts on potential Charles Xavier and Magneto being black while we're on the X-Men topic?
Oh, we talked about that, man. It's I won't be happy until Denzel and Morgan and Samuel L. Jackson are Professor X and Magneto. That'll I'm a happy man.
Middle America's heads will be exploding all across the movie theater.
Absolutely. But yeah,
sorry, Jay, I cut you off, but you'll be hearing the words of Samuel Jackson saying, "They're motherfucking mutants in this mansion."
Exactly. These motherfucking mutants out this motherfucking mansion.
Yeah. So just be prepared, please.
Absolutely.
I would pay to hear that, though. I would pay to hear that in his little floating chair.
Right. You know, just saying. Okay.
Oh man, that's great. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the best ones are the most obvious ones, and that's to me is like an obvious one, but you can't argue how good of a rivalry that is. But it's kind of like what Yo said about Alabama and Clemson. He pretty much puts it as a rivalry to the coaches, so I think it's more Professor X versus Magneto as opposed to the X-Men versus Magneto. Because they are the two primary figures.
Yep.
And so I would put it to those two as opposed to a larger group.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that.
Yeah, because it boils down to those two men because it's their two philosophies.
Yeah,
it's the two ideals.
And again, you see, except for like Captain America and Red Skull, you see so many times it's like the best of friends. They become the worst of enemies, you know?
Right.
And I agree with all that. And just to kind of counter your Denzel, and it wouldn't work. Just to piggyback on my point I made about it last week or the week before, it wouldn't work because there's no way Magneto is sitting and letting any of this type of injustice go without causing a World War III. There's absolutely no way.
Man, I mean,
seriously, like he would legit, like if Eric Gardner happened with Magneto around, he would go crazy.
Well, I will tell you this: so Professor X and Eric, they were supposed to be around during the 60s. If they were around during the 60s, dude, it would be a whole different ball game. All the assassinations.
Yeah, it'd be a whole. You'd have to change the whole history of. you'd have to change history.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you want to be honest about it, like truly honest, every time Magneto says that he wants to have a island or a place just for mutants, he would extend that for blacks and mutants, and he would probably use that for people of color too. He would just be like, You have been oppressed too long, and there would be like major revolts, dude. It would be terrible. It would be bad.
Like Dr. Doom's island.
Liberia or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. He tried that. Magneto had an island for a bit when he went to Genosha. He took over that and said because they were using mutants as like a power source. He's like, "Fuck you!" Took over, and it was a safe haven for mutants for a while.
That's true.
All right, let's go to the DC side.
Wait, hold on. I want to mention one more great rivalry that people did not mention
on the Marvel
side. On the Marvel side, which is Mr. Fantastic versus Namor. It's because of Sue.
And can we then, while we're on Namor, can we throw Namor and probably Atlantis versus Wakanda?
Man, there's some interesting storylines coming out of that, dude.
Is that a fair one to throw? And you know what? One that I'm surprised hasn't got mentioned or myself mentioned, Captain America versus Iron Man.
See, but the rivalry is only in the movies, though.
That's not true. What about Civil War? The comic.
I know, but I feel like that came as a result of the movies, though. You didn't really see.
That was way before the movies. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just countering you like that. But that was way before the movies. I'm not saying you're wrong, though.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just countering you.
Hey, look, you know I gotta play devil's advocate because I mean, it's not. I don't know if it is really a rivalry as much as it was just a storyline.
I think they had different philosophies, and let's be truthful. In the comics, the different philosophies were this: Tony, you're a genius, and you're a womanizing alcoholic. I can't be having you hang out with people. That was the biggest thing.
No, the biggest thing was pretty much the registering of superheroes.
Dude, do you not understand? Back in the day in the 80s, Tony Stark was a womanizing alcoholic. He lost all of his armor to Justin Hammer because he was such a drunk.
No, I get that, but that's not what Civil War was about.
But I'm telling you, what I'm saying, like the philosophies behind these two guys has always been that. Captain America has always had a pretty virtuous way of free thinking. Tony Stark has always had a very pessimistic way, driven by his fucking alcoholism and his assholism, but being like this, thinking he's like number one and that he always knows right.
He's probably right most of the time, though.
Dude, that's
in the comics
to register people.
But to be fair, like a bunch of superheroes were trying to film a TV show and blew up an entire group of people. Like there was it wasn't like they just decided to randomly do it.
And to be fair, that shit happens all the time. You see Jackass the movie, it just got magnified because there's superpower.
Exactly, and that makes a huge difference.
And I think the problem is that I'm against government registering people. I think you can register yourself. Now I'm not this deregulation kind of dude, but I think for the most part, people can if you're at a fucking stop sign, you should stop.
So now we're driving in a car.
Well, here, okay, I'll break it down to you like this. The reason for why do laws exist? Good people don't need them and bad people don't obey them. So I'm just saying, you should, laws are here overall because of just society. Just to keep society in check because there are always assholes.
All right, true that. All right, DC poll, 600 votes or close to 600 votes cast. What is the best DC Comics rivalry? Your choices were Batman versus the Joker, Superman versus Lex Luthor, Flash versus Reverse Flash, and another other section in comment who? Burton Coit, a regular listener who really enjoys the Titans, so shout out to you as another Titans fan. I know it's Joker versus Batman, but personally, it has to be Flash versus Reverse Flash. Their battles have literally ripped the DC universe in half. Flashpoint, for example, one of the best DC stories of all time, in my opinion.
Interesting.
JVD of the Villains also commented on this one and said Jason Todd versus Crowbars.
Oh!
Shout out to you.
Wow.
But then he said, seriously, it's Bats versus Joker. His favorite is Hal versus Sinestro. Jason Munier. I'm sorry, not Munier. Munier. I'm sorry. Jason said every villain. I'm done pronouncing names, by the way.
You just call this dude manure, man.
I did not. Okay. All right. Listen, Jay. Shout out to you, Jason. Oz, don't. No. Ain't no point in magnifying this. Let's just keep moving. He said every villain versus Amanda Waller. Hero in You says Iron Man and the Mandarin. Let's see what other ones. Any other good ones we got? I see Black Manta versus Aquaman from Oren Atlanson.
Dude, that is man. Black Manta killed his baby, dude. That's some deep shit.
All right.
Manos Casapis says Flash versus Thawne. Or when Lex or Joker go back in time and cause every little bad thing that ever happened to Bruce and Clark, from breaking their arm to killing their parents or any of that, then you can come at me.
Okay.
I'm still eating, please, said Red Hood versus Black Mask.
Wait, what?
He said Red Hood versus Black Mask. So I asked him what's a good. He said what's a good. Or I asked him what's a good run I should look at. He said Under the Hood by Jude Winnick.
Yeah, you know, but that
Geoff
that's
Johns
a good.
versus
It's good.
Dan Didio. Bob Kane versus Bill Finger. Nightwing versus Deathstroke. JD also said Shazam versus Black Adam.
Yeah.
Jay, have we missed any big DC rivalries that you can think of, or are there any that you particularly like?
Batman versus Ra's al Ghul was a good one. Didn't. I think that it happened on Gotham. Not a lot of people catch it, but
that's a good one.
But I've always liked Ra's al Ghul. But yeah, the rest of them I pretty much understand. And I would say this, considering especially for like just a regular fan, not someone with like on Oz's level of knowledge, I would say DC versus Marvel in itself. And from a DC standpoint, because most casual fans are more in touch with Marvel than they are with DC. So I think people that are like people that are on the DC side of it see Marvel as more of a rival than Marvel sees DC as a rival. So I would say Marvel versus DC, hence the name of this show, is a rival within itself.
That's true.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, it's kind of ironic that Marvel is, clearly they're on top of the movie game and they're trying to take over the TV game. Well, and they've done a good job so far with some of the Netflix shows and things like that. But at least in my opinion, as far as the comics and just purely on the stories, DC is, to me at least, are miles ahead of Marvel as far as stories. Now, I will admit Marvel is ahead of the game as far as being more inclusive and diverse and having minorities and things like that. But just pure storytelling and stuff like that, I think DC's stories and comics are just much more engaging and kind of draw you in more and suck you in to me. Yeah,
I would agree. But I think where DC falls short is they don't capitalize on those storylines. And they don't develop those storylines enough, especially to the casual fan. Again, they don't develop them enough to draw people in and to appeal to people who don't really get into anything outside of the movies. So it's more of a niche than it is a movement.
Yeah, you're probably right. And it could be so much more. And I think that's why they're doing this whole thing with they're going to but they're going to have a black Batman. And, Oz and myself the last few weeks have joked about how, Alfred's definitely not going to work for this black Batman and stuff like that. But, and we joke about it, but a little thing like that would go a long way. You know what I mean? I genuinely don't believe that Alfred is going to be working for Luke Fox. But a little thing like that would genuinely go a long way in showing that this is not just like an attention grab, like just a quick look at what we got, look at what we did type thing. It'd be something kind of, because if Alfred is being Alfred to this guy, then that means Bruce was like, he's my pick, this is your new guy, and that would mean a lot as far as representation goes. DC, which they don't have a lot of.
That'd be true.
Yeah, DC has I think everything you guys have said is pretty accurate. From a young age to now, I've always just loved DC storylines. But when I wanted to find people that kind of looked like me, it was easy to go search with Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that their issue is always that they get a hold of really good writers and some really good artists. But then again, not the beef on it, but the executives, the money people are always just like, well, we can make money off this real quick. So it's always a quick buck factor with those guys, you know? So.
Yeah. And where I think, and kind of shooting back to Marvel for a second, I think they fell short with Black Panther as far as killing off Killmonger at the end of that movie. That could have developed into a really good rivalry if they developed it over a few films.
Well, we'll see. But here's another thing that I feel like they might do, and here's my $1 million giveaway. He said, "Throw my bones over into the sea."
Yeah.
And if the Atlanteans are there, I wonder if they're going to get his body and somehow revive him or zombify him or do something to bring him back. You know,
that'd be dope.
Yeah. So I feel like don't count that dude out just quite yet. So
we haven't had a Uncle Oz gives away $1 million yet on this episode. That would be a perfect way to introduce Namor and Atlantis to Wakanda.
Don't count them out. But again, the history between the Atlanteans and the Wakandans, and I love the fact that the Atlanteans are kind of assholes about they're like, well, we want this, and it's like, There's hope for I feel there's hope for the future for some really good stories out of things.
Right.
That's again, and also this to get off the subject for a second, I'm kind of excited about the lineup for Apple TV and all these other things, because I feel like, man, if they do it right, they can start introducing different points of view and different sci-fi things that we've never seen before.
All right.
Yeah, like Gemini Man.
Dude, man, there's things we don't ever want to see again.
But going back to your point about how you were looking for people of color, people who look like you in the DC world for your stories. You had the great stories, but you didn't have the characters. Obviously I'm a little bit younger than you, so I'll be nice this time. I'm a little bit younger than you, and I had
dumber, but it's fine.
A little. You're kind of smart, so I'll give you that. I had a few more characters that I could kind of latch on to than you did. I had Jon Stewart was very prominent around the time I was really getting into comics and kind of coming up, and Bronze Tiger was getting a good run in the comics at the time. I was really starting to get into it. Kind of little things like that, and those things kind of. Cyborg he was around when you were reading comics as well, but just having character, like you said, having characters that look like you.
Static Shock,
Well, I never was a Static Shock guy. A lot of people did like him, but I never really got with Static like that.
I used to watch the cartoon just to be like, wow, this is cool, man. It was nice. Hey, I was also watching the Justice League and Super Friends because was it Black Voltage or used to be on there?
Black Lightning?
Yeah, Black Lightning.
Did you just call that dude Black Voltage?
Yeah, they used to call him. But on the show they used to call him something totally different than Black Lightning, though. Did you know that?
I know it wasn't Black Voltage.
They used to call him. Oh God! Now I got to look it up. They used to call him
what? I know what it was. They called him Black Voltage while he was guest starring on the island that Bruce Willis was filming Castaway on.
Yes, it was Black Vulcan. Yes.
Okay. All right. True that.
Which is just as bad.
Oh boy.
True that.
So I'm like, you don't look like a Black Vulcan, dude. So.
Well, let's just appreciate the fact that Black Lightning was getting some love. It's been about at least 20 years since then, right? So that was the last time he was relevant. Besides now.
Dang.
Shots fired, but that's another story. The best DC rivalry with over 70% of the vote. It's very obvious who that was going to be. Batman versus the Joker. Number 2, Superman versus Lex Luthor. Number 3, Flash versus Reverse Flash. 5% voted for other. Jay, it doesn't sound like you were surprised by the result. So let me take that off the table. Besides Batman versus Joker, what is your greatest DC rivalry? Besides, you also said Batman versus Raz. So no Batman. What's your greatest DC rivalry?
I'm gonna go Superman and Lex Luthor again. It was like, as opposed to Batman and Joker. Like, Joker's that ultimate troll that, like, we all like. Joker's the dude that shows up on Twitter and just trolls everybody's tweets, and you wish you could get him, but you can just never get him, and he's laughing all the he just pisses you off so much. As opposed to Lex Luthor and Superman, I think the hate kind of grew. Like, although there was a lot of tension, I think there was also a lot of respect. So it was a different kind of rivalry as opposed to Batman and the Joker. I just think the Joker was just such an asshole, so easy. Like, Lex Luthor was as much of an asshole as he is. There's this level of genius that you have to respect, and this level of conniving and like just consistency that you have to respect. And so I think that's what kind of draws people into that rivalry, because he's so constant, and like he kind of throws Superman off of his game a little.
The world's smartest human versus the alien.
Right.
I enjoyed one of Miggs' posts where I'm pretty sure it was Miggs who said that Lex Luthor was probably right, and he put it by a Brightburn picture.
Well, just by the grace of whatever that Martha and Jonathan raised that dude. He wasn't raised by, like, I don't know, a Kardashian or something.
Right.
Well, if he was raised by a Kardashian, I don't think he'd be a supervillain, though.
He'd be Lamar Odom.
Dude, he would be out of control.
He said he'd be Lamar Odom.
He'd be Kanye.
Yeah, he'd be Kanye, dude.
Just imagine Kanye with, like, superpowers.
Kanye thinks he's having superpowers.
But, like, imagine him legit having superpowers, though.
Well, Kanye stans think he actually does have superpowers.
Oh, dude, this dude be holding church, man. Talking about slavery was a choice. Slavery was a choice.
Hey, what would you do if you just saw that they was preaching? Next thing you know, he's just floating in the air.
Oh God,
man! Hey, literally, I would get close enough up to him to be like, "Can you also turn water into wine? Because I'm going to need some."
At that point, right?
And by the way, I got this oregano.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to hook me up on several levels, because you are tripping me out, dude.
I don't know what y'all put in this wine that y'all gave me for the body and the blood, but it's doing something.
It's Jesus juice, man. What you talking
about? Come on, man. Jeez.
Oz, besides Batman vs. Joker, what do you think is the greatest or one of your favorite DC rivalries?
Well, I've always been a fan of the Lex Luthor and Superman rivalry, just because from the serious, from you can take it on many levels. From the serious point of it being like Lex is just like he's a jerk, but he's just also going. At the end of the day, this person is an alien. Do we trust humanity or do we trust aliens to make us better people? But he's not that benevolent. But also on the campy level, I used to love the old Supermans where this dude had a head full of red hair, and there was a chemical fire, and Superman blew out the chemical fire, and he didn't know Lex was in there, and the chemicals got into his hair and made him bald permanently. That's why he hated Superman. So I was like, okay, well, that you may have a point. But you're a scientist. I'm sure you couldn't figure out a way to get some hair again. But I've been a fan of that. And also when it comes to Batman and Joker, man, Joker is ruthless, dude. He has done everything to basically everyone that's been close to Batman.
All right.
One of my and obviously I'm biased because I'm a Dick Grayson guy. So one of my favorite rivalries is definitely Dick Grayson versus Slade Wilson. I really enjoy that. I think that rivalry kind of opened eyes as far as what Dick Grayson could do as a fighter.
But can we be honest just for a quick second, real quick?
Here we go.
There's not any real rivalry going on with that.
I think
because Slade can kill Dick Grayson pretty easily and Batman pretty easily.
But in all the between Teen Titans the cartoon, between the Judas Contract itself, between the animated movie The Judas Contract, there's clearly he's the leader of the Titans, so that's why I single him out as the one that has the rivalry with Slade. In the Teen Titans cartoon, he's the one who Slade recruits, and he's the one who ends up beating Slade. You know what I mean?
No, I love Teen Titans. I just always I love the fact that Batman literally has said yes, I know this dude has one eye, but he can easily kill me. Yeah.
But Dick's different. I get it. Batman has beaten Dick before.
So for our 50th show, it's time for a little come to Jesus talk. Okay, look, man. Look, you don't need to get over this mythical Dick Grayson stuff, man. You once again are in love with Dick. You need to stop being. You need to stop obsessing about Dick.
Well, I guess I gave you that compliment too soon about you being on your game and having good jokes on this episode. Dude, that just went out the window.
No, but look, Dick Grayson. If Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne, no gear, nothing, went toe to toe, you know who's coming out of this, right?
But here's the thing, though: if Dick Grayson were to go and fight Bruce Wayne, he's not going to go fight him without Bruce is going to have a contingency plan. So Dick is going to have some type of contingency plan. I know Dick Grayson,
mythical. I trust me. He walks on water too.
He's just going to pull out a gun and shoot him.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if these two went mano-a-mano, I know contingency plans. Dick Grayson is going to pull over.
Who is Batman not beating besides Lady Shiva in a just pure hand-to-hand fight?
I feel like Brown's Tiger gives him a run for his money. I don't doubt pure hand to hand.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah, but man, Dick Grayson.
But you're talking like Dick Grayson is a bum.
He's not, dude. But
he's top 10. He's a top 10 hand to hand in DC.
I will give you that for sure.
Okay,
for sure. But I wanted to see. We got to be a little more realistic about this whole Dick Grayson thing.
I'm not talking about him like he's like a god beater. I just said that he has a rivalry with Slade.
Yeah,
I didn't say he was beating Slade. I never said he was beating Slade.
It's not a real rivalry. It's just sort of I hate the Titans, and you're part of the Titans,
Man, you've been hating on Dick Grayson for the last 50 episodes, man. Get that man a break. Stop riding Grayson's dick.
Hey, dude. Okay. So look, man. I mean,
that didn't work either. See, it just doesn't work. The jokes don't work.
So, do you want me? Which Dick Grayson? Dick Grayson, Secret Agent. Dick Grayson, Batman. Dick Grayson, Robin. Dick Grayson, Nightwing.
Here's the thing.
Dick Grayson needs therapy.
Dick Grayson needs Titans is going to go hand to hand with Deathstroke, and I bet you he beats him in Titans.
Dick Grayson needs to go on Maury Povich and have a face to face or something because he needs an intervention. That's all.
I will say this: if Dick Grayson is fighting the Bruce Wayne who had sex with Barbara Gordon, I will give Dick Grayson a slim shot because there is a lot you can do with a lot of adrenaline and anger running through you.
Yeah, true, man. Why they had to do that? That was anyway. But hey, I won't hate on Dick because that dude has bed down some beautiful women in his day. And an alien, too. So I give him his props. But I'm just saying, man, come on.
You always hating on Grayson, man. That dude is a top 10 hand-to-hand fighter in DC. He holds his own. Hey, Jay, what are your thoughts on Dick Grayson?
I mean, from the sounds of it, I kind of fall in between you guys.
Jay's like, I don't think about Dick Grayson.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
He's like, I don't think about this. See, me and you talking about Dick Grayson is like, it's like you and Jay talking about sports. You understand?
Hey, Jay's like, you mean the kid who was Robin?
Yeah, like, yeah. I mean, if we got like, if we're talking about sports, like Dick Grayson to me is like, I guess he's kind of like the Tennessee Titans.
That's
like
so disrespectful.
No,
so disrespectful.
No, I don't mean it in a bad way, but like I don't think about him enough to hate him. But like, no, it's not a shot. What I'm saying is like, if like
he's not on your radar, Jay. He's not on your radar.
Yeah, but if he wins, I'm happy for him. Like, you know, so, like I don't think about him enough to like hate him. But if he wins, I ain't mad at nobody.
I mean, if he wins, you'll talk about it the next day. But it's just nothing like that great.
Right.
So let me get this straight. You just compared Dick Grayson to the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
The Marcus Mariota led Tennessee Titans. Not like the cool ones with Steve McNair and Eddie George and them boys. But the Marcus Mariota led Tennessee Titans.
Even I'll give you the McNair and Eddie George version. It was just like, oh, okay, they're pretty good right now.
I can take that one. I can take that one.
So
yeah, it's sort of like, he solved the crime. Cool.
Yeah, like he doesn't move my meter like that, but I ain't mad at him. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. I mean, like letting a 9-year-old beat you up. But that's cool. I mean, whatever, dude. I mean, it's okay. Brother Scott, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you're not. Like, Damian Wayne is a trained soldier. Like, first of all, he didn't beat him up. Dick Grayson beat up Damian Wayne.
Wait, hold on. Okay, look. I'm not trying to waste everybody's time. I consider being beaten up is when you have a Kevlar suit and he has it shredded with and you're bleeding. You let a 9-year-old cut you.
You're talking like this is some regular 9-year-old. Like he did that to Bruce too.
That's cool.
Oh, so it's okay for Bruce to get cut by a 9-year-old, and it's not a big deal. But when Grayson gets cut, it's like, oh my God, he's not a fighter.
And then when in the movie Batman versus Robin, when they're protecting Wayne Manor, Dick Grayson gets shot in his legs and in his arms, and they're about to take him away, and Batman has to save him again. And Dick Grayson goes, Bruce, I can fight. And Bruce Wayne goes, nah, bro, you can't fight, dude. And throws him into a panic room.
I don't think that one was Batman versus Robin. Was the Court of Owls Batman versus Robin?
It was the Court of Owls was Batman versus Robin.
I thought Batman versus Robin was the one where he fights Slade.
Dude, hey, stay in your lane, bro.
So which one is the one where he fights Slade?
Well, he fights Slade in that one, and also in
Which one is the one where Damian takes Slade's eye?
That feels like that's the first one. Son of Batman.
And Batman vs. Robin is the Court of Owls.
Yeah, the Batman vs. Robin should be the Court of Owls one. I was just watching that the other day.
Okay. All right.
Hey, and then Jay fell asleep. So,
well, I mean, that's what happens when you're watching the Tennessee Titans.
Hey, Jay. Well, your silence is my world when this dude talks about wrestling. So I'm just, just saying.
Shout out to JD.
Shout out to JD for real, dude. Hey, now here, another DC rival that we should mention, if you want to, is actually Vandal Savage versus The Flash. And there's another one, which is Vandal Savage versus the Resurrection Man. So.
Did anybody mention Wonder Woman and Cheetah?
I had that on my list, Jay. Thank you very much.
Shout out to the ladies.
So everybody's got a rival, right? Who is Cyborg's fighting? See,
he does have one. It's like the reverse of Cyborg. I can't remember what his name is. He does.
When you have no one to fight, they give you a reverse.
Right.
Well, to be fair, Reverse Flash is a great rival for Flash. Like he has ruined Flash's life.
Right, and everybody gets a reverse. Bizarro, everybody gets a reverse. I'm just saying you can do a little better with Cyborg.
Bizarro, he is the reverse, but he's not on the same level as a Reverse Flash.
Yeah, right, true. So.
All right.
This dude has freezing breath and heat breath and freezing eyes.
That's cool though. Like I do like that aspect of it, like the full reversal part. I do like that.
Man, that's just lazy. Okay, yes, you continue, sir.
No, I don't. I don't really have nothing else. I'm just kind of, making sure we're not missing any big ones. And if you have any that we have missed, definitely let us know on Twitter at @NeedForMarvelVsDC, or send us an email and tell us how bad we really were at listing rivalries. And just tell us which ones we really missed. Like, let us know like Steph Blurdy used to tell us all the time. And just put, let us know how you really feel about it. At @NeedForMarvelVsDC at GoDefyLife.com. Any other rivalries, guys, before we go to our final blow?
Like any non-DC and Marvel one?
Well, yeah, just any that that are personal, that we like, that we kind of come to mind when we think of rivalries.
Freddy versus Jason.
Is that a rivalry, or was that just a one-time movie?
They're both rival for killing people. That's why I would put that. Another one is on the Image comic book, which would be Invincible versus Conquest. That was a crazy 3 issues. It was pretty brutal. It was bad.
I got one for you too. The Power Rangers versus Lord Zed and Rita.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That's got to be in there. Right?
Thundercats versus.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He-Man versus Skeletor.
He-Man versus She-Ra. Who was She-Ra's person?
Optimus Prime versus Megatron.
Optimus Prime versus Megatron, dude. G.I. Joe versus Cobra.
Definitely.
All right.
Jay, what you got?
Oh, did anybody I know the movie sucked, but did anybody mention Batman versus Superman?
No, but that's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'll take that a step further. Bruce Wayne versus Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Well.
What you mean? They both wanted to bag Lois.
Wow.
I mean, let's keep it 100. They both wanted to bag Lois. Superman didn't like the fact that Lois was enamored with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. I'm an alien. I'm rich.
Scott, I'll give you one on your in your wrestling realm. The 4 Horsemen versus the Legion of Doom.
Come on, now. What you know about the 4 Horsemen and the Legion of Doom?
Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan.
Absolutely.
The Iron Sheik versus Hulk Hogan.
Okay. Come on. What else you got for me?
Harriet Tubman versus slavery.
Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes.
Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes.
Terry Funk, Ric Flair.
Terry Funk, Ric Flair. Wow. Yeah.
NWO versus WCW versus WWF.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What was it? The Rock and Roll Express versus the Anderson brothers. Remember that back in the day?
Tully and Ole.
Arn and Ole. That's right.
Arn and Ole. Yeah. Okay.
The Legion of Doom versus.
Go ahead, Oz. I can't wait to hear this.
Everyone.
Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart.
A good wrestling one for me would be Triple H versus
The Rock.
You know? Who
it was
The
Rock.
Triple
It
H
wasn't.
is?
It didn't. Wasn't there one with Steve Austin versus? He had a good one, right?
He had a few. He had one good one with The Rock. He had a good one with Bret Hart.
Yeah.
He had a good one with Shawn Michaels. Ali, Joe Frazier. If we're going to just doing everything.
Hey, if you want to get down with it, dude. Well, no, do Ali, George Foreman. Oh, that's the thing.
Well, Foreman was the only thing that
the Rumble on the Jungle.
Right, but the reason I would put Frazier over Foreman as his rival is because although the lead up to the Foreman fight was so huge, because everybody thought Foreman was going to kill him, but it was only one fight. He beat Foreman, and Foreman retired for 20 years.
True.
Versus Frazier, where they had these 3 epic fights.
That's true.
Kind of drew out the rivalry a little more. If George Foreman didn't quit, I think it would have grown into a bigger rivalry.
No, that's very legit. That's very legit.
Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield's ear.
Right. Oh man.
Leon Spinks versus interview cameras.
Dentist.
Hey, Jay,
versus dentist.
Jay, let me throw this one out there for you. I know this is actually a real sports one, and I didn't hear you guys mention this one. Do you think this is a real rivalry, LeBron versus the Warriors?
Yeah, I would say so.
Or is it too one-sided to be a rivalry?
I don't think it's one-sided. I think it's actually, it's a lot to be. I always say there's a lot to be said in the way we phrase that rivalry. Is the fact, and that's anytime we talk about LeBron, it's LeBron versus, and then we give a team, right?
Absolutely.
As opposed to like all the other rivalries in the history of basketball or any sport, team sport. It's always team versus team or player versus player. You got Lakers versus Celtics, Magic versus Bird. You know, when you get to talking about LeBron, he's so fucking Thanos that it's always LeBron versus. You got to have an entire team for him to have a rivalry against. So I always think it's fascinating how we phrase that because we don't even we acknowledge in that statement that it's just LeBron against the best team you can get to beat this dude. So I think that phrase in itself says a lot about the way even people that hate LeBron phrase it that way. I think it says a lot about how much they think of him.
Well, it's one step from them saying it's basically LeBron versus himself.
Right.
You know, that's like that's the only that's like the next level of competition for him, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, to that point, like even when people talk about like Mike and the Bulls, or they say the Bulls versus the NBA, they don't say, you know, Jordan versus the NBA. They say the Bulls versus the NBA. Like that's a good point to what you said about how we phrase. Because I didn't even think about saying the Cavs. First thing I thought it was LeBron. Like
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, even Kyrie dropping 40. Like people talk about Kyrie dropping 40 and forget LeBron had 40 too.
Right. And people will say, "Oh, Kevin Durant's better than LeBron," but we still say LeBron versus the Warriors.
Right.
You know, like LeBron versus Durant is not a rivalry. It's LeBron versus those 4 All-Stars, and they're like wherever LeBron goes. Like, when Klay Thompson comes back, it'll be, you know, LeBron. They'll see if those guys can overtake. You know, can still hang with LeBron now that he has a supporting cast. Like, it's always going to be LeBron versus however you want to put it against another team.
Whenever people say that Kevin Durant is better than LeBron, I just say if you put LeBron on the Warriors and you put Kevin Durant on the Cavaliers, what do you think would happen?
Right.
LeBron would literally average 15 assists a game.
Yeah. And I always say, like, it's easy. Like, all right. So it's easy to be, and you can relate this to basketball, to, you know, comics, anything. It's easy to be that guy when you only have to do it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you got three other people on your team who are considered the greatest at what they do. And you only have to sometimes be that guy. It's kind of like, I always say this, like if Kevin Durant's kind of like with that Warriors team, it's like if you make $50,000 a year, but your wife makes $80,000 a year. It's easy for you to be that guy who she can lean on when times are hard, when she makes $80,000 a year. But when she loses her job and you have to be that guy all the time, every day, it's a little bit different. Because then, you got to make sure the light bill is paid, as opposed to LeBron, who's paying all the bills.
Been paying all the bills.
And been paying all the bills. There's a little bit different sense of responsibility when I can just go drop 40 when I want to, because I know these other guys can drop 40. So I might maybe I could forget to pay the light bill. I know my wife gonna pay it, but she loses her job. It gets serious.
Yeah, no. It's literally the difference between Superman doesn't necessarily need to be in the Justice League.
Right.
But the Justice League definitely benefits from having Superman on the team. Superman can just do his own thing by himself and be fine.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of like that,
Hey, that's a pretty good little sports analogy right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was pretty good, man. Hey, you showing out today, huh? You showing out tonight.
Oh, man, get to 50 episodes and don't know how to act. There you go.
Man. Golly, you got a couple drinks in you. You don't know what to do with yourself.
Hey, man, I waited for the 50th one to kind of be able to say this. I'm saying, man, come on.
Yeah, let me find out you got sports analogies on deck now. Let me find out I can have a sports conversation with you.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying, man, this guy's hey, for the next 50, man, you full of surprises, son.
All right, word. So look, when basketball season starts and I start bringing up random games, I expect a reply.
No worry, they won't be random, man. I do my homework, kid.
Okay. All right. What do you think Chris Paul's gonna do this year, Oz?
Oh man, great. Hey, I'll have an answer for you for episode 51.
Why don't you go find out who he is?
Right. Yeah. Regular Scott. What TV show is he on?
Hey, you can find him on State Farm commercials.
Good. Okay. Good.
We'll start there. All right. Final blow time. Jay, before I get to your final blow, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the 50th episode. You'll probably hear us tell you thank you again, but we really appreciate you coming on the 50th.
It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Oz and I both talked about who we wanted to have on, and we figured it was only right to have on the guy who gave us a shot and kind of let us, see our vision through, and has really enabled us to get to this point at 50. And we love what we do, and we are just happy to be a part of the Defy Life family. So thank you again for coming on for the 50th.
Hey, absolutely, man. It's my pleasure. And that leads into what I have to say, man. I'm proud of you guys. We talked about earlier how few shows make it to 50. But we're on the verge of having 4 shows in the network to reach at least 50 episodes. So
that's awesome.
That in itself speaks volumes to not only what we do as a network, but the people that we have as part of this network, because nothing works without people that make it work. Mm-hmm. So, to all the creators, all the hosts, everyone across the network, this is just a microcosm of the things that we do and the people that we have here. So salute to you, gentlemen. Again, y'all are my like lowest maintenance host across the network. So salute to everything y'all do and for making my life as easy as possible. Here's again to what Oz said. Here's to 50,000 more episodes, generation strong.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're easy now, Jay, because I was texting you and calling you twice a day when you first brought us on, just asking you random questions like, hey, should we do this? What do you think about this? Hey, you think this is a good idea? What do you think about that?
But even that's easy because I'd rather like you make those calls to me versus me listening to crappy episodes and be like, look, man, we need to talk. So,
yeah, or even crappier commercials.
What is that a thing?
Is that a thing?
Man, you see, the next commercial is going to be so strong. Man.
Hey, but speaking of which, it is time for a new commercial.
Oh no, that's too much pressure, man.
No, because the name we dare not say is still on the old commercial.
So, hey, shout out Bees, man. Shout out Bees. Shout out Bees, man. Yeah, shout out Bees. I know you having some ice cream and Oreos right now while you're working out.
Ben and Jerry's and Oreos right now. Okay.
Right. But it's for real. Shout out to you, V's. You were a part of at least 6 of these first 50 episodes.
Maybe like probably 5.5.
Right.
Okay,
no. Listen, he was at least there until West Coast Jay came on the first time and gave me my intervention of the Arrowverse. So he was at least there for that because he definitely didn't miss that episode.
That is very true.
So, but yeah, so it's time for a new commercial. So we'll talk about that off air, whether y'all want me to produce another one or whether Oz wants to give it a round 2.
Oz, you got to give it a round 2.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Man. So I have an announcement to make. I won't be doing any more podcasts after this one. Hey,
listen, Oz. So I'm definitely ending the show with your famous "What are you going to do on a Sunday" line. By the way, I'm just letting you know now how the show is going to go off the air.
So Jay, me and regular Scott will discuss the commercial, and we will come to a very amicable decision about it.
No, we're going to do what the Kingpin tells us to do. What Suge Knight tells us to do. I'm not getting hung off no balcony.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
You can get hung off the balcony, but I'm not.
Oh,
nah, dude. Hey, man, I am not trying to get kingpinned at all, dude. I'm just saying, I'm trying to be peace, dude.
Be me,
I have to answer to the podcast director. So if I tell you to do a commercial and it sucks, then I got to answer to the podcast director. So yeah.
So even Kingpin got a boss.
Right. So as I'm holding you off a balcony, I'll be being held off a balcony by Yosh.
Okay. See.
Hey, shout out to Yosh, man. Shout out to Yosh.
Yeah, this, we will talk. It's gonna be commercial. Got it. Yeah, it's gonna be something else.
Oz, what you got for the final blow?
I don't want to do a commercial. Wait, final blow, man. We made it to 50, dude. My personal goal, right, Scott. I want to hit at some point 5,000 listeners. But we'll get there. But this has just been a great ride. It's been fun, Jay. Thank you for letting us have a vehicle to do this. To be able to express ourselves. And man, it's just been a great ride. It's been fun. And regular Scott, sometimes you're right, which is encouraging. Not a lot. But hopefully,
I don't know how I feel about that statement.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a shots fired or if that should get a round of applause. I don't know how I feel about that statement.
Was that a compliment? Was that a critique? Was that a what? No, man. It's just been good, and like I said, like it was said, we would have all these discussions for long periods of time. This is nice to be able to do it on this format, and it's just been awesome. So
right, cool.
No doubt. My final blow is again, Jay. Appreciate you coming on for the 50th. Appreciate you giving us this opportunity. Oz, thank you for going on this journey with me for this last 50 episodes.
Been a pleasure.
I wouldn't want to share this platform with anyone else. We, like you said, we've had these conversations. You got me into comics. You initiated me into this world that I am now engrossed into. So all of this really goes back to you. So thank you for doing that. Shout out to Blurred Comics, Black Mass, Nerd
Absolutely.
Cantina, Suave the Thinker, Big B Stats,
JD,
anybody else that we've had on, Money,
Migs,
just everyone that we've had on. I appreciate all you guys being a part of this for the last 50, and it's been a blast.
Is it Steph Blurdy? Who's your email?
Oh yeah, definitely shout out Steph Blurdy. Absolutely, definitely shout out Steph Blurdy.
Suave, Black Mass. We said it. I know,
I just said that. Appreciate it. But yeah. I don't know if it was an echo or what. I just swear I just said that. But
and don't forget Yosh.
Oh, yeah, listen. Let me certainly not forget Yosh. Okay. Hey, listen. And by the way, there is no beef between Yosh and myself, man. Shout out to you. I am definitely trying to get in the coach's corner, though. I just want to throw that out there. So there's no misconception about that. And we will have you on soon. But yeah, just shout out to anybody that's been a part of the show. All the Geekly, shout out to you guys. You've been a big part of helping this show grow as well. So everyone who participates in our Twitter polls and everything, just a big thank you to all the listeners. We definitely appreciate all of you. Defy Life, shout out to all you guys. Lynn and Kim, Coach Stanley, Coach English, West Coast J, all you guys for being a part. Vandal Savage, Macho Man Vandal Savage. Let me get
Macho
his name.
Man Vandal Savage.
Yeah, and everybody,
go ahead, Jay.
Check out. Everybody go check out DefyLifeGear.com and get your Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC merch. Get your T-shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve. Also, as I say on every show, everyone be aware that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We do have breast cancer T-shirts. So if 10% of those proceeds do go to the Sisters Network, even if you don't support through Defy Life, support from somewhere.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yes, absolutely. Very true.
All right. Oz, tell everyone we talk to them next time.
Everybody, peace and chicken grease and happy 5-0.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good time because we're going to have a good time until we talk to y'all next time. Enjoy Oz's commercial. Peace.
What you doing on a Sunday? What's up, good people? This is Ozzy Killmonger from one of the 3 members of Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC. You can listen to us on the Defy Life Network. We air our show every Sunday morning. Listen to us. We are just blurs, loving what we do, and we hope you appreciate what we do too. What you doing on a Sunday? Take a listen.
Yo, the summertime is winding down, so it's time to go ahead and get that fall wardrobe together. Check out the new fall line from Defy Life Gear. It's got all new designs, jackets, socks, and you gotta check out the brand new alternate logo. We also got sweatshirts for all the podcast gear you love so much. So go ahead and visit www.defylifegear.com. That's www.defylifegear.com to get your gear today. And remember, Defy Life, lifestyle defiant. It's defylifegear.com.
What you doing on a Sunday?